Once you have prepped your client with a makeup cape and a hairnet, it's time to cleanse over their skin to remove any oil, dirt, and excess makeup. The next step is to apply moisturizer and primer. This would be determined through the client consultation to work out their skin type and what requirements are needed. It's really important to work the moisturizer in so it's not sitting on top of the skin. The next step is to apply a swatch of colour to the client's side of face to determine if the colour is going to be correct. Generally, this is to be done with 2 colours to determine the most appropriate choice. As there is no colour corrector and concealer in airbrush makeup, you will do this with traditional makeup. For my client, I'm using a peach colour corrector under the eyes to help neutralize any darkness. This is done using a flat makeup brush. As under eyes can be very delicate, make sure that you use a soft pressure and blend out your edges. The next step is to use a sponge and press it into the skin to make sure there's no heaviness to the colour corrector. It's always ideal to check if your client has a latex allergy and ensure that you use latex-free sponges. The next step is to apply concealer. This is done using the same makeup brush in the same application. However, I'm taking the concealer a little bit low into a triangle shape just to neutralize any darkness under the eye area. Make sure that you blend out your edges. Depending on what the client needs concealed, you may also do this around the nose area, any blemishes, eyelid, anywhere that you need additional coverage. Once you have applied the concealer, use your sponge to press it in so there's no obvious creases. I'm also adding a little bit of concealer around the nose and chin area just to neutralize the red. Before applying the airbrush makeup to your client, test the airflow on a tissue to make sure that it is spraying properly. Standing 3 to 6 inches away from your client, you can apply the airbrush makeup in circular passes. This is going to allow for an even result. Make sure that your hand is moving at all times to avoid any hot spots from occurring. This is where the makeup can run or it can look blotchy. The technique being shown is called the wide spray pattern, which is ideal for face and body applications or larger areas. As you can see, the hairnet is also protecting the client's hair and the cape is protecting their clothing. Just like traditional foundation, it's always good to check your model from all different areas and apply the makeup to the neck as well too for an even blended look. The next step is to apply your contour, and before you apply it to your client, you want to test it on a tissue first just to make sure that the spray pattern is correct. The application of your contour would have been determined in your client consultation card to work out what face shape your client has. When applying your contour, you want to use technique number 2, which is the dash method. This is applying the airbrush formula and then slowly releasing the gun so it has a more subtle edge to your application. For my client, I'm choosing to contour her cheekbones and along the forehead. Less is more. You can always add, but it's harder to take away. The next step is to apply the blush. Again, testing it on a tissue before I apply it to my client to check the airflow. Using small circular motions, I'm applying the blush to the apples of the cheek. Again, just like your contour, less is best. You can always add more, but it's hard to take away if there's too much. The last step of your airbrush makeup application is to apply the highlighter. This can be achieved by using a lighter foundation color or a formula that is designed for highlighting. The areas of highlight would have been determined through your client consultation card developed prior to the treatment. Once you are happy with your application of airbrush makeup, it's now time to set it with a translucent powder. As my client has a drier skin type, I am only choosing to set the makeup through the hot spots. These include the forehead, under the eyes, sides of the nose, and chin area. If you have a client that has a normal to oily skin, you can be more generous with your powder application. If you want to intensify the blush, highlighter, or bronzer, you can actually apply a powder on top. I'm choosing to add additional highlighter for this application using a powder product. And there you have a natural day makeup application using airbrush makeup.